Okay, YouTube will only let me post 15 minutes at a time. So I wanted to give a little more examples of this fixed variable, fixed ratio, we'll just start doing this because I'm getting tongue twisted. So fixed ratio. This is when you're going to get something after a set amount of time. So every 30 seconds, this is going to happen. Every 5 times you get an A, this is going to happen. So it's set. You already know if I do it this many times, I'm going to get this. Okay. The variable ratio is unpredictable. I never know when it's going to happen. So this is like a pop quiz. I never know when it's going to happen. It's kind of a gamble. Do I do it or not? Because I don't really know. It's very hard to extinguish, which is a good thing for most of these because it's unpredictable. So it's like you always want to be prepared. This is also why gambling is so addictive, because you never know, like maybe that next time you suddenly win. So the variable ratio reinforcement is actually much more effective. Fixed interval reinforces the response after a specified time has elapsed. So after 10 minutes, I get this. I should have made that clear. I don't think I made that clear above. The ratio is after a certain number of times that you do it. So I did it, I think I said that wrong. I did it 30 times, so I get this. I did it 10 times, so I get this. The interval has to do with the actual time. I gave you an example that wasn't correct. So after 10 minutes, I get this. After 1 minute, I get this. But it's the same concept that applies here. Fixed interval is nice. Variable interval is a stronger reinforcer. So this is the pop quiz example. I never know when it's going to come. The timing is always up in the air. So you can take a look and see at what's the most effective for reinforcing something and what's not. Over-justification effect, the effect of promising a reward for doing what you already like to do. So a person sees the reward rather than the intrinsic interest as motivation, and then they lose interest. So the idea here is that rewards are nice. People like rewards, but in general, if you're not doing it because you really want to do it, at some point the reward is not going to be enough. So at some point, it's like you can't pay me enough to do this unless I really like to do this. Now, people hit that mark at different levels, of course, but in general, you want that intrinsic motivation, not just an extrinsic reward. So a lot of everything from your job performance to schooling, a lot of it's based on intrinsic motivations. You do the work to get an A, not because you really like the class and are really interested. So a lot of stuff is set up for extrinsic motivation, for better or for worse. You'll find some classes, I cannot get away with this, but you'll find some classes where people say you're going to get an A. I don't care about that. Just do the work you want to do. My department, I could never get away with that. But it's the idea that they want to take away the extrinsic motivator. You'll get the A, don't worry about that. Do what you like to do in this class, okay? Intrinsic motivation, in general, way, way, way more effective than extrinsic motivation, especially for the long run. The last thing to take a look at is the Bandura studies. These are kind of disturbing, to say the least. This is another issue of learning. And it's specifically about how children learn violence. And take a look at the videos. I think they speak for themselves. But the concept basically is that children learn not from necessarily operant conditioning, classical conditioning. They learn from watching people. And that this is particularly true around issues of violence. So you'll see a kid learning how to play with toys in a violent way when the kid watches how someone else does it. And not only does he do what someone else did, he does it to an extreme. Like, he does things that they weren't even doing. So it's kind of that whole, it doesn't really matter what you say, your kids are watching what you do. And that actually that's one of the bigger issues of learning. Forget all the rest. You can give your kid rewards, etc. They're going to do what they're watching you do. So a lot of information this week in both of these two sections. They're big, big sections for overall psychology. Keep an eye on that operant conditioning. It is complicated, but if you talk through it and you understand what punishment and reinforcement means and what positive and negative means, that it's not positive and negative, something you like or don't like, but that it's positive and negative, adding something or removing something. That's one of your biggest takeaways from that section to keep it all straight. As always, let me know if I can help you in any way, and I hope you guys have a great week. Thanks.